Raisy originally came from Counter-Strike. He used to play some semi-pro games there, so once he got into the Quake scene, I think it was really like, oh my god, all of these options available to me, no longer have to play a slow game, here we go, 0 to 60 in under a second. But he has definitely toned that down a little bit.
He has indeed, but the results have come alongside with it, so clearly that adjustment is good. Now we have the map picks and we have the champion bans. We talked about this during the break because it's actually pretty interesting. Raisy has selected first pick Veil of Nath, so he actually has picked the Veil for our first map. Corrupted Keep has been Cypher's pick, and then if it comes to it, we're going to go on our decider map, which will be Molten Falls. Now when it comes to the champion picks, or the banned, I guess is a more accurate term, Cypher has understandably banned out Clutch. That's a very, very common ban for Cypher to make. He does not like this champion at all. I don't think he ever has liked this champion, so the fact that you can ban him, Cypher's like, happy days. Secondly, very much an anti-Cypher ban. Raisy has banned away Galena.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you say that Cypher doesn't like Clutch, and that's very much true, but it's also the player that he's playing. Raisy is one of the, if not the best Clutch player in the entire world, and he has shown that so many times. He really knows how to work the robot well, and he can do so many amazing things with it that I think it's very safe and reasonable pick from Cypher to get rid of that champion right away. And as far as Galena comes, well, Cypher has been playing her basically since the start. Even when she was completely out of the meta, when no one else picked Galena, Cypher was still consistently picking her and doing quite well with her too. So I think that both of these bans is something that many people would have expected.
Yeah, there was a time where if you were a fan of either Slash or Galena, you'd pretty much want to watch Cypher every game because he was like the only person picking them. With the the exception being Toxic, who would go Slash as well. But yeah, Galena has always been his babe. And interestingly, the thing about that is on Veil of Nath, I think taking Galena away on Veil is also a dangerous combination because she is very, very effective on the Veil due to how many teleporters you kind of need to use to get that verticality. Now Cypher instantly goes into Ranger. We see a BJ as well. Now, of course, it's Raisy's turn to pick, which will be Keel. Makes a lot of sense. This is one of his strongest maps by far. And then finally, the Death Knight for Raisy also. So lots of damage, lots of area denial, and lots of hallways you do not want to get caught in. Death Knight for Cypher as well. Yeah,
so Cypher going with the Ranger is going to give him a lot of mobility. You can get up from the, well, down from the very bottom all the way up to the very top in under a second, whereas Raisy is definitely going, again, as we predicted, slowing it down, going for that slower, heavier champion Keel, who is, on the other hand, capable of putting out so much damage with those grenades. I think, well, he's done very well with Keel in the past, suits his playstyle extremely well. Going to be an interesting matchup.
There's a lot of storyline riding on this set, and you know both players definitely want to get this run back. Cypher definitely has a lot to prove here. He wants to take out Raisy and prove that he knows a thing or two about this rematch that he has just historically kind of struggled to reach. But we're watching Raisy first, going in with the Keel, one of his stronger maps in the game, I think, when it comes to Keel. There's just the hallways are so small. In those up-close and personal confrontations, it's almost impossible to miss his grenades. Yeah,
that's what you want when you're playing Keel. You want those small winding hallways, those doorways, those choke points that you can just bombard with those grenades to get the damage in. And here we go, first damage of the matchup is being exchanged. Cypher pushing in after using his flames. Not much damage on that though, and Cypher's pretty good position right now. Will have to surrender heavy, but Mega will be his. In comes Raisy. Quite a bit of damage, but Cypher will push him back for the time being.
Yeah, Cypher took a lot more Tri-Bolt damage than I think he deemed favorable, but at least he had the Mega to retreat to. That was a fantastic rocket from Raisy. Try and undo some of that damage just a little bit. You know, he took a lot of damage there from Cypher, who was trying so hard to press to get that last little tick of LG that he needed, but Raisy staying nice and safely away, I respect it.
Yeah, very good defensive damage coming out of Raisy. Definitely was on the back foot for quite some time there, but his defensive damage definitely allowed him some more time to stack back up, and now both players are actually looking pretty healthy. Cypher's got more health, Raisy's got more armor, but here comes the first exchange. Raisy pretty low, but his LG so solid. 15 points of health left, but Cypher will be the first one to drop a frag.
Definitely a matchup of who can out-LG who. Raisy had a little bit more stack, the grenades naturally making life a little bit easier as well, but going grenades and lightning guns together is a bit of a weird one. Obviously, you know, one is instant and one is not, so tracking those grenades, you kind of run the risk of missing LG because of it. I respect the fact that Raisy just stuck with LG all the way during the fight.
Yeah. And right now Cypher's trying to get back into this, and he's actually managed to establish a good amount of control right away. He's got both Mega and Heavy to his name, and there's a pretty decent delay between those two items that will allow Cypher to set up a good rotation. But Raisy is setting up the trap. Not much damage done, but he might be able to escape relatively unharmed. Cypher is going to find him. Out come the dual LG, and Raisy will not be able to stand against that. Frag for Cypher, tying it up 1-1. Heavy will be his, and he might be able to make his way over to Mega just the same.
You would somewhat worry for a little bit because of just how many grenades Raisy was looking at, but yeah, the second he got caught off guard, and his surprise rocket that he tried to sort of ambush Cypher with didn't really do the damage to initiate properly, but he was still in harm's way. Really needed that rocket to do more damage than it did, and ooh, a nice little bit of damage from the bottom.
Yep. Pushing Cypher up into the air, the dual LG, oh so much pushback. Raisy doing a good amount of damage. Cypher in the air, and down he goes. Didn't even manage to pick up the heavy armor. This is so good for Raisy. He's in a good position right now. Mega will probably be his as well if he decides to push for it, which he won't. This is interesting for Cypher though, because of course he did take down Raisy's Keel, and that's probably the most dangerous champion he has.
Speaking of dangerous, notice that dual wield's now locked and loaded again. But even in those close range situations, you would otherwise consider BJ a guaranteed frag. There is a dire orb, and speaking of which, Cypher tries to ambush, but that's big risk, big reward. Both players super weak, but Raisy gets the final rocket. Almost blew himself up.
Yeah, almost. That was so close. Raisy getting a little bit lucky right there, just whipping out the dual rockets and spraying down the hallway. But it paid off. First round going to Raisy. Cypher's got to play catch up. No pun intended.
Hey, you know what? I wasn't going to say anything. I respect it. Yeah,
starting round 2 off on the perspective of Raisy, slowing down the Mega quite a bit. That's 7 seconds between these two items. Cypher caught out. Out come the dual LG. The damage is underwhelming.
I've got to say, that was such a sick play from Raisy. It's not enough though! What the hell? Literally die hard right there.
How?
1 HP.
How? I was already saying the damage is underwhelming, and then Raisy jumps into the room, and Cypher all of a sudden perfect tracking, 100% LG. Raisy down to next to nothing, and then switching the machine gun to finish it off. But there comes Raisy with the dual LG.
But he had that amazing play in Mega too, where he knew Cypher was coming, and he tactically jumped down to surprise. He's tactically got a rocket from the ground, got the Mega, jumped down to meet him. So by the time Cypher even realized what was going on, he'd taken 2 rockets he couldn't challenge. He didn't know where he was. And it still wasn't enough. Like, what a turnaround from Cypher.
Yeah, but Raisy did manage to get the refrag pretty much instantly. And now he's got a very good position. Heavy will be his, and look at the difference in stack. Raisy is a powerhouse right now. Cypher is up to 100-100, so he can definitely take some fights himself. And he managed to push Raisy away, claiming Mega as his own.
Needs to try and force that flame strike out of Cypher. He's definitely not going to use it willy-nilly. You know, if he's confident he can secure a frag, he'll do it, which makes it kind of difficult for Raisy to try and get that out of Cypher. You've got to put yourself in harm's way first.
Yep. Cypher also managed to pick up a railgun. Won't do much though at that close range. Raisy just bullying him off the map. Flame damage sticking up, but it won't be enough.
Just a perfect ambush.
Yep.
Perfect ambush. And Cypher didn't have time to 180 that, so he's going to teleport to Zyro, but he's taken much damage at the same time. Now Raisy chasing it down. The defensive rails come through, but there's still a decent amount of stack. Raisy needs 2 more rails to go down, and Cypher has lots more work to do here.
Yeah, really good play by Cypher right there, just playing the teleporter very nicely, dropping down when he needs to, going back into the teleporter, hitting a crucial rail that pushed Raisy away, buying him a little bit more time. And here we might get another confrontation. That's a lot of damage coming out of Raisy, and Cypher still sticking around. This is probably gonna be the end. Yeah, I don't know why he stuck around so long.
Yeah, it was a difficult call to make. I wonder if he acknowledged that right as he'd done it that it was a bit of a mistake. Yeah. He did go for a really interesting dire orb escape attempt, which very, very nearly worked, but Raisy just kind of has that 6th sense. You know, if he's going to push someone he knows they are super, super weak, he's already going to have every single escape route in his head covered.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just a rail shot, gave away his position. Raisy did a bit of a double take, going like, oh wait, he's still there?
Yeah, alright then mate, fair enough, thanks.
I'll take the round, but here we go. 3rd, potentially final round of this map too. We're on the perspective of Maestro Raisy once again. Look at him slowing the game down, trying to set a trap. Cypher knows where he is though. No ability used.
But Raisy, he's going to get the combinations, grenades, even the detonation, and not even proximity needed. 50 damage on the grenade, finish it off with a rail. That's a two-piece that Cypher's not going to be happy about, and now he's been forced in a horrific position! Knocks back onto the jump pad. You hate to see that kind of thing happen.
The jump pad of death right there. If you go down, or if you go up the jump pad and you take a little bit of damage, a little bit of pushback, you know you're stuck in that infinite loop, and that's exactly what happened to Cypher. No way out of it.
R.I.P. in pepperoni.
Raisy, 2 frags up in what might already be the final round of map 1. This is looking extremely good for him. And Cypher right now looking for a way back in this. He did manage to secure himself the mega health.
He's got so much work left to do. Max stack on Raisy, all 5 grenades. I mean, you'd look at Cypher having a die roll and be like, he's going to be alright, because he's, you know, he's a ranger. But yeah. Of all the matchups, I still wouldn't want to take this. I would not want to take this at all.
I mean, it's such a difficult mental game too, going up against the Keel, because you know you want to push in, but then you also know that if you don't, the longer you don't take fights, the more grenades he will have up. And right now, Raisy's got all 5 of them waiting that he can just send off pretty much instantly. Both players playing a slow game right now, though. Cypher definitely does not want to get caught out with those grenades, and Raisy, well, he knows that he's got the lead. 3 minutes left. He can play this one out. He definitely will.
Yeah, Cypher's stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. Does he try and take these pickups, or does he run a risk? Surely he must try and get a read on which one he thinks. Yeah, so he made a good read on getting the heavy. He was correct that Raisy was going to try and take the mega instead. But oh my god, he's got so many grenades left to finish this off as well. Doesn't even need them, I don't think. This health, 1 rail would have been enough, and now Cypher's in a terrible position. Really forced to try and run away. He's running as fast as he can, but as, you know, we have the glory of being able to see him through the wall. Raisy is still super close to chase this one down. Doesn't want to overextend. He doesn't want to give up his lead, but yeah, Cypher's in trouble here.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the start of the game too. Raisy being a very passive and collected player. He knew that he had the advantage. He knew that he could probably get away with just pushing in and brute forcing himself that frag. But instead, he just played it slow, knowing that he had the control, knowing that he had all the weapons and all the stack that he could possibly hope for. And here he is going to find Cypher again. Good opening rocket. Looking for the rockets through the grate. A little bit of damage coming out. Cypher still lingering around.
Oh, that was actually perfectly executed by Raisy. If he knows he's stuck in the air, he tries to stick that one little chunky section of bridge so that Cypher couldn't get an angle for the dire orb. That was just next level dodging ability.
Great job by Raisy, and I loved the finisher too. Rocket grenade basically connecting instantly at the same moment. So much damage, no way out of that for Cypher at all. And that will be Raisy taking map 1. This was of course his own map pick. Next one will be Corrupted Keep, the map that at one point was known as Raisy's Keep, and it's actually Cypher's pick. So, wonder if he knows something that we don't?
It did slightly surprise us both at the same time, didn't it, when we saw they'd picked Corrupted Keep. I know he himself is very, very good on this map, but you know, if you have a map, look, if you have a map named after you, then that probably carries with it some weight. So it's not, there's an impossibility that Raisy is going to be not comfortable on this next one. Whereas on the flip side, Raisy's pick being the Veil of Nath, Cypher was visibly very uncomfortable on this map. You know, they definitely, you can kind of tell when a player is more prepared for Veil so far. We saw it with Rafa versus Garpy, and we've seen it today just now with Raisy at the same time. Like if they're picking Veil in this level of play, they've probably practiced it and they've got an ace up their sleeve, and both times in a row it has worked flawlessly for the 2 players that picked it.
When it comes to the entire map pool that we have in Quake Champions right now, I feel like Veil is still the biggest, like, love it or hate it map. It's a map that you either really like and that you're so good at, or a map that you just dislike and can't stand at all. And I think that Raisy definitely falls in the first group. Cypher perhaps a bit more uncomfortable though.
It's actually funny you should mention that. It's my second favorite map next to Church of Azathoth. And I'm like one of the small groups of people that actually I love it, man. I love that map. I want to see more of it. Maybe with CTF.
Yeah,
maybe with CTF.
Yeah.
I mean, and what?
The sword. Wait.
Oh,
what?
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think we might have gone with the wrong map.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going back. The second I saw that, I was like, what was? Okay. I looked at the champions before I saw the map.
Anarchy, Sorlag, Clutch. What a lineup!
I would have loved to have seen that. I would love to have seen that. But yeah, by looking at Veil, I assume the wrong map was picked. So we're just going to go back and go to Keep.
Clutch unfortunately banned though, so not a possible matchup either.
Cypher
but
should take the game for that.
Yeah, imagine.
Take the game for that one.
Imagine. No, let's just stick with it and advance as we normally would.
Imagine if on Corrupted Keep we saw Sorlag and Anarchy, and then whoever he wanted to play.
Yeah, that would be something. That would be something.
Maybe in the next patch. That PTS was pretty juicy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to make a lot more champions viable even at the highest levels. So it's going to be interesting times ahead for Quake Champions and its competitive scene. Cypher clearly not too bothered by the first map, sitting there browsing his phone.
I'm wondering if he makes notes, because some players do make notes about different opponents. Because you only play Quake Champions so much. There reaches a point in competition where you play the player, not the champion matchup or the map pick or whatever. And I feel like Raisy definitely is a player that you can take notes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has got a very specific style that if you're in a certain map or in a certain matchup, there will be certain tendencies that maybe if you're the highest level, you'll probably write them down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that many players are aware of this, and that's what Raisy said at the start too. Cypher knows how I play. At this point, I don't really know so much how Cypher plays because they haven't played each other since BGL. But here we go, time for the champion picks. We're gonna get BJ picked on both sides. Cypher again going for the Death Knight to follow it up, and now Raisy thinking about his next pick. He can't go with Clutch, we already know that.
It's actually Strog he selected. I know one of his customization for Death Knight looks really, really similar.
Right, yeah, I did.
And yeah, so we've gone in with a Nyx, which makes a lot of sense. But Strog on this map does, again, speaking of making a lot of sense, Strog makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it can be quite risky, I think, at times. He is a setup-heavy champion. And Ranger in both sides, which does not surprise either of us, I'm pretty sure.
Nope.
But we get to see Nyx for the first time today. Poor old Nyx being banned out every single time, and for good reason.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, she's been banned, as you said, for every previous matchup. So having her in here, it's very interesting to see what she will be capable of. Are we going to see those really aggressive pushes that Raisy is also known for? Or are we going to see some more defensive plays? Either way, we're about to find out. Cypher versus Raisy. For those of you just tuning in, first map went to Raisy, meaning that he is right now on match point.
And I feel like we have potentially a super explosive map on our hands here. They've both gone BJ first, which means the spawn is going to be very important. Cypher having the spawn near LG. It's going to give them a bit of a natural advantage because they're going to trade Mega for Heavy, which makes a lot of sense here. But if you can dual wield and you're both BJ and one of you's got an LG and one doesn't, then, pray.
Corrupted Keep is one of the few maps that I feel like you can really play the weapon denial game on, because you can really lock down one side of the map and keep control of the rockets and the lightning gun, and that's exactly what Cypher has been doing. We're almost a minute into this map, and Raisy at this point finally just now picking up the rocket launcher, and he still doesn't have LG at all.
And I think a big part of that is because Cypher understands the likelihood of Raisy going BJ first is very high. Because this is just, it's one of the strongest maps for this champion. Yeah. And it makes sense that Raisy would try and go with that strength first. But if you're going to play the respawn game, you're almost playing the odds in effect. Yeah. And all right, I think he's running in to try and steal it away now. Cypher has temporarily given that one opening. That one opening he gave, Raisy took it with both hands. But he has walked into a bunch of damage for it.
Yeah, it took Raisy a minute and 15 seconds, but he's finally done it. He's got the weapons that he wants and needs. Cypher still got more control, but Raisy is just, again, as we always talk about, slowing down the game. But Cypher's gonna hear the teleporter. Are we gonna get the first fight right here? Surely we will. Out from the dual LG on both sides. This is really going head to head.
Oh, such an insane LG right there. You were worried for Cypher for a little bit because he was taking significant damage, but that one time that Raisy decided to swap to Rocket, big mistake.
Yeah, definitely shouldn't have done it, because of course there is some weapon delay when you switch to rockets, when you shoot them too. And Raisy fired away that rocket that didn't really connect with all that much damage, and it left Cypher with a good opportunity, a good gap to do a lot of damage, getting himself frag one.
And nails kind of just flying past his ears right there.
Yeah.
But this is a good position for Cypher at the very beginning. He's been able to take down a real problem champion with Raisy, and Raisy's accuracy is pretty legendary at this point, so give him two weapons and you're not going to be laughing about that. But Raisy, a big risk. That was a very expensive escape. I'm not even sure he can actually make this escape with his stat.
Nope.
Nope. See you later.
Absolutely not. Really nice play by Cypher. He hit Raisy from below with that LG, forcing him to use the Ghost Hawk, and then he knew exactly where his opponent was headed, and that was the heavy armor, and he was there to finish him off. And now Raisy kind of stuck. Not much of an escape route. He does have the orb if need be. won't be able to use it all the way, and that will be Cypher taking round 1.
Really comfortably too.
Yeah.
He played it so perfectly that he was pretty much sitting in the LG side of the map for the first quarter or so, and the very moment he gave Raisy an opening to try and go in, take the LG for himself, the only reason he went in there was because Cypher allowed it. Yeah, and he was ready for the fight that came after because he was comfortable in the position Raisy would be in.
Yeah. Definitely a map that seems to suit Cypher better at this point, as we are on his perspective too, but this time he's getting the opposite spawn. Now it's up to him to get himself the rockets.
I'm curious
and
about
the LG.
this. Very, very curious about this to see. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Raisy's going to try and stop him and slow him down and rush it massively, and that was a good choice indeed, as he now seizes Cypher very, very quickly. Cypher thought he had an opening, but not quite. He's now going to be on Strog.
Yeah, he just wasn't fast enough getting onto that LG. Not that it was his fault, but Raisy just calculated perfectly and knew that if he pushed at that point, he would have the dual LG out and Cypher would just have rockets. Perfect play by Raisy, getting him the frag. Now we're going to actually see our first peeker coming out. Cypher just scouting him out, looking for any sort of damage.
It has given him a lot of data. A huge portion of the map, Cypher now knows that Raisy's not likely to be around. And even after all that, still, it kind of that rocket forcing him away, Raisy kind of confirms. I don't think Cypher knew where Raisy was at all.
Yeah.
Unfortunate using an ability and getting no data.
And it's always easy for us as the viewers, the spectators, to wonder why did Cypher destroy his speaker so quickly. But that's because, I mean, you need to be paranoid when you're using the champion because you're just left on the floor, incapable of movement. So Cypher couldn't find Raisy straight away, so he just detonated himself. And here we go, another peeker coming out, and now Cypher's got a really good idea of where Raisy is at right away. Clipping the corner, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think that kamikaze into the wall was intentional, though, for sure. Definitely tried to kind of cut it fine. He's been ambushed by the dual wield. Unfortunately, the Strog has not really accomplished a huge amount. The gravity of that movement did force Raisy into the teleporter, but it wasn't enough. He's going to get another frag here and Cypher down.
Yeah, I must say, though, it didn't quite pan out, but I loved Cypher's play. Getting behind that little wall and then pushing back in, Raisy just jumping over him through the teleporter. Good defensive rockets, but Cypher is so low, but there comes the tri-bolt. Is he going to push this? He's dropping down onto heavy. And Cypher's still lacking some weapons. He doesn't have LG since he just respawned and he's just pushing in for it. Probably not the right call at this point, since he doesn't have a heavy machine gun, he doesn't have a lightning gun, but he will mend that situation right now.
Getting clipped quite significantly through these hallways right there, and that was a really, really nice rocket. Going back and restacking without much issue, but the problem he's going to face is that he is the one that needs to make the plays here. He's 2 champions down, and in just under 2.5 minutes, he will lose this round to champion advantage.
Good play from Cypher. He doesn't go for the orb though. 17 HP, stays in it. He's got Mega on the respawn, gotta be fast. Will be the one to pick it up now. He's probably expecting the really aggressive push from Raisy, so he's trying to stay in areas where he knows he can get out of quickly. Raisy not using his Ghost Hawk just yet. There we go. The ability has been used. This is not good for Raisy. Didn't use it aggressively. Didn't use it defensively either. Kind of a wasted Ghost Hawk, but the rockets on point. Cypher. No way out.
3 very, very good rockets in a row. And I was somewhat worried a little bit, actually, that during that Ghost Walk as well, not only did he not really get a huge amount of benefit, but he didn't get the LG either.
No, yeah.
He went all that way to get the LG, and obviously while you're in Ghost Walk, you can't pick up anything. So run the risk of missing it. But doesn't matter, because he was confident in his rockets, and it was a good choice to stick with them as he landed 3 perfect rockets in a row.
Yep. So far, the Strog not really working out for Cypher. Didn't really need to do much damage with it at all. In comes Cypher. This is so dangerous. Out come the dual LG. This is gonna go all the way. Raisy getting the frag on Cypher, perhaps overextending quite a bit. And here we go. Immediately another confrontation. Cypher using the dual wield on those machine guns.
We've had
breaking away.
I feel like we've had a perfect example of what happens when you mess up the dire orb today. So many attempted plays with Rainbow where they try and go for the quick orb kill, the quick ambush, and it misses. You're literally just left to your own devices with nothing. It's a guaranteed frag against you. And Cypher, unfortunately, is significantly down again in less than 1 minute. He's lost 2 champions, and he's down to the final Strog and Pika, which I must say hasn't done a huge amount yet. Pika's done a good amount of damage, which is it's going to give him some information here, along with his stack. But facing off against the dual wield is still a massive risk.
Yeah. Cypher definitely gotta be careful because he gave away those first 2 frags pretty easily, I think. Definitely didn't need to use the orb, definitely didn't have to drop down in that second fight. And this is giving Raisy a lot of opportunities, so Cypher gotta keep his head calm, gotta stay level, and here we go into the LG in midair. Surely.
Oh my
Ouch.
word. Only a little bit left, he's still in there, but as we now go into respawn.
Yeah, that's just a knockback from that lightning gun. You see Cypher come out with a teleporter, so much speed, so much momentum, flying through the air, and then Raisy peeks around the corner and just stops him in midair. So much damage.
This is scary times now for Cypher, as Raisy finds himself on match point. Cypher really, you can tell he does not want to lose to Raisy again. He just doesn't want to.
No.
He's had a very unfortunate track record against Raisy recently on LAN. You know, let's not forget Cypher was the absolute undisputed king of the Quake Open League. Like, he has been doing well in Duel this year, but not necessarily on LAN. Which is so weird to even say that out loud.
It's Cypher not doing well on LAN. What are you saying? But yes, it is true. We're getting our fierce confrontation, and this will be Cypher. 17 HP, dipping into the lava for a second right there. Risky, but he will stay in it. Mega is up, and that will be going to Raisy. And Cypher's slowing it down a little bit. He knows he's up against that Nyx. He knows that he can expect that Ghost Walk push anytime, and he's ready for it.
It's the nature of when you're in the hands of a really good BJ, such a momentum snowball heavy champion that it feels like the entire round is so consistently coming down to the first frag. Cypher gets caught on the jump pad from the shadows is correct, and now it's 1 champion down each. Ranger versus Nyx. Cypher will have a bonus, and that Raisy's Ghost Walk is down for a little bit, but not for too long, as now. Nah, he's not going to go near Banana. He's going to want to try and maintain presence here in the center of the map.
Yeah, still 15 seconds. Cypher probably knows it more or less. He should be aware that Raisy doesn't have the Ghost Walk ability just yet, but it doesn't look like he will be able to capitalize off of it either. Raisy backing away for the time being. Heavy and Mega up at just around the same time. Gonna be difficult for either player to establish control on this cycle just yet. Heavy going to Cypher probably, and Mega.
And actually, I believe Cypher used his Dire Orb to try and speed things up, and again, it was a big play to make. He tried to use the Dire Orb to collect both of the major Mega. Would have given him the fight, but unfortunately was not able to get to the Mega in time, and Raisy punishes him dearly. 1 frag down, and that's a really bad spawn, I think. Yeah. He's going to get so much knowledge and damage here, and Ghost Walk's moments away from being down. Pika's going to be gone for what I might say is the final time of the map. Raisy is in a wonderful position here. Yeah,
not pushing that fight because he didn't have his Ghost Walk available, and Nyx is a champion who's so dependent on her ability because she's so squishy, so light, and here we go.
No. Is this the coup de grace? Oh, what a rocket jump. Is it enough to save him though? He's still so weak. Full armor. But I still even fear that might not be enough. Raisy is just on the warpath, and he's just listening out for every step he can hear. Uh-oh. Watch out. Oh, this has to be dead, surely. Here comes Pika! Here comes Pika! Oh, I get him! But that's just 1 kill. His work is not done.
Mega is there, Cypher, go get it! Oh my god,
no!
He turns around just on time, and he's got a light armor waiting for him too. Here we go, Raisy's got nothing.
Oh my
Cypher
god.
pushing his advantage.
Oh my god! Can he pull it off?
Oh my god, he's at like 20 points of health. Cypher, what are you gonna do? He's gonna catch him. Nice play from the Belarusian, sticking with it.
That was insanely clutch. There is not even a degree I can list to say how clutch that was. He needed that desperately.
Oh yeah.
And he's straight back in it. He was convincingly match point down. Thank you very much, Mr. Pika. But no!
What?
No!
Too painful to be a dream.
That has got to be so crushing, so demotivating.
Too painful to be a dream, too real to be a nightmare.
Absolutely relevant quote. Poor Cypher.
He's still in it.
Yeah, he's still in it.
Not count him out.
2 champions to go.
It's still good. It's still good.
And we're on Raisy's perspective for the time being. He's holding down the Mega area. Got himself all the weapons that he needs. Waiting for the Mega, taking enough damage from the Tribolt right there. Cypher doing well, but oh my god, the orb doesn't connect.
Almost did, but some wonderful jumping there by Raisy. Cypher just dedicating to the floor, expecting it to get more splash damage than he got, but yeah, the tactical nail just to make sure he can steal away the light armor. No way Cypher can take it now.
Oh, that LG tracking Cypher.
Oh, 4 HP! one single cell away from winning that 1v1, but unfortunately he doesn't. And now the hands are all into Strog right now. That's it. It's a one champion comeback. Cypher has no choice but to make it a very tall order.
He did it last round. He did it last round. Made it happen with Strog. No reason to assume that he cannot do it again, especially with Raisy. He doesn't have any armor to his name whatsoever. Whereas Cypher super stacked up both Mega and Heavy. Dual LG, oh, that just equalizes the stacks instantly. That went from Cypher having an enormous advantage to both of players being identical in under a second. So powerful, that LG ability, or the dual wield ability rather, and Raisy used it perfectly.
Now Pika is back, but I'm wondering how much it's actually going to accomplish because Raisy's stack is immense. Absolutely significant. If he takes a 1v1 now against Cypher, especially after that Heavy, he's probably going to win. I think that's why Raisy is now looking to be really aggressive. I would not be surprised if he dedicates to this fight all the way because he has no reason not to. Cypher tries so hard to get away, but the rocket jumps chase him down. Cypher in an unsurvivable position. And he's going to be eliminated here.
Wow.
In the winner's bracket. Loser's bracket now is where his home will be. That was so close to being evened out, but Raisy is now going to move on in this upper bracket. Well played indeed.
Yeah, so Raisy next up will be facing Cooler, whereas Cypher will be dropping down lower brackets where he will be going up against Polterizer.
A hard task for Polterizer. I definitely see Cypher at least being able to survive in that one, but it's unfortunate that he wasn't quite able to take that final round that he so desperately needed. But what a bad start in that final round.
Oh my god.
That was I felt so sorry for him. I really did. But we have a quick interview to take away. Take it away.
We were talking backstage about who was going to win that match. I think everyone agreed it was going to be really quite exciting, but I don't think anyone expected how much it looked so one-sided in the first map. What was the difference there? Did you have some sort of mental advantage? Because that looked pretty clean overall.
I don't think he likes that map that much, and I had a good start, so everything went in my favor on that map. And then on Corrupted Keep, he was playing way better. He felt way more confident, I would say. And I made some mistakes as Nyx. It paid out in one of the rounds, but mostly I just got punished for it. But in the end, I managed to close it out.
It was very close to a comeback as well, with some rather unorthodox champion picks. So when you saw what was going on there, what were your thoughts behind those picks, behind that thought process?
My next pick was because we banned Galena and Clutch, and I felt like heal is too vulnerable on this map, so I just tried it out, see how well it works. And his stroke pick, I'm not very surprised, because I also tried stroke before on this map. It can work, and it did work some of the times, so it was a nice pick from him. I wouldn't say it's very surprising. It was not very expected, but it's still a very good pick on this map.
And now, of course, you've earned yourself the matchup against Cooler. Arguably very different matchup, and in terms of playstyle, how are you feeling it's going to be different to what you just experienced?
Well, what I've tried at ESWC didn't really work, because I lost to Cooler very one-sidedly, so I'm gonna try to play a little bit more carefully against him this time.
All right, well, best of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic showing here from Raisy, who goes up against Cooler next. Analysts, let us know how that match broke down.
It's definitely one rematch to another, which I always find quite an exciting thing, where you kind of have two big lands back-to-back, and you get an opportunity to really see what the adaptations are from each of the players. Like Raisy said it himself, he's going to try and be a little bit more careful. He's been showing to be pretty careful today against Cypher. He had some really sort of like glory moments, and I'm sure we'll be seeing them in the form of replays soon. But yeah, I got to say, man, the real deciding factor was just the start of the final round.
That was so unfortunate from Cypher.
Before he could even finish recovering on how much of an amazing comeback he had just made.
He spawns, he walks into the Mega Health, and out of nowhere, rocket, GG.
It's almost like we were all surprised just how quickly Raisy got there.
Yeah, he picked up rockets and he was like, I'm not going to do any conventional plays, not going to go over to the small armor, nothing like that, not going to go over to heavy, nope, I'm just going to go right for the opponent's first one, for his first major item, the Mega.
Because the thing is, it's a kind of risk that Raisy is in a position to take a lot more than Cypher was. You know, if Cypher was on match point, then we probably would have seen him make a similar decision. But Raisy with a map to work with, it's a level of confidence that we cannot underestimate it. That's a strong decision with a lot on the line. Many players in a LAN environment, when you understand what that loss might cost you if it goes, south, not as you expect. And it takes a real sort of champion level player to stay dedicated to those. And that's the climb that I think Raisy has had in Quake Champions, where, back during last year, he would make some really questionable decisions and either follow through with them or be very, very impulsive. We all remember that legendary duel he had against Rafa at QuakeCon last year, where Raisy had Rafa, he had his number, and just jumped down on Blood Covenant and threw it all away.
Those final 5 seconds, Rafa coming out with teleporter, Raisy on bridge, I can still see it, and then that rail. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
But my point is that it's nice to see that, well over a year, almost a year and a half later, we're seeing the progression of Raisy, where he's still making those big, bold plays, but they do seem a little bit more calculated now than they used to be.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting what he's going to do up against Schooler. He said it himself, he's going to play a bit more carefully, but Raisy is already very often a very careful player. So we're going to see two players who have absolutely no issues waiting as long as need be. They can perfectly slow the game down to a snail's pace. So it's going to be very interesting to see if anyone is going to shake it up.
Yeah, I'm looking at the future of the bracket as well, and I feel like it's a good chance that Cypher should be able to defeat Polterizer,
right.
Which sets up for the losers bracket either rematch between Raisy, which will be in itself, unfortunately, because our losers bracket matches, again, as far as I'm aware, are not streamed. I will just be informing you guys and giving you live updates. I know at the start of this stream, when we came back, I know Garpy was a map down versus Venga, and that set must have finished by now, unless they've taken it down to a final map, which, who knows, maybe it's still going last round every time. It's possible. But either Cypher versus Raisy as a rematch, or Cypher versus Cooler, if Raisy is able to defeat him.
It's gonna be an amazing game, no matter what. But let's also not count Polterizer out too quickly, because of course,
if he wins, it's like a massive upset.
This would be an enormous upset. Polterizer taking it over Cypher, moving on into the grand finals of the first day, the first group. That would be such an interesting outcome.
I mean, if he pulls off these results, then absolutely fair enough, and the power to him. That's what Quake Champions is all about. Is players either returning from previous games and Quake Champions being their biggest breakout performance, or players that have Quake Champions as their game. We'll find out momentarily. Now, up next, we'll find out what our next match is going to be. As you can see on the bracket, much like before, a lot of 2-0s actually on this side, which is interesting. We saw a lot more closer games